I've heard about the Buteyko method before, but I never really took a lot of interest because, like a lot of some of these methods, you know, you hear this and you hear that, and a lot of the times they just take your money and run and the method itself doesn't work. I was listening to the ABC radio on the afternoon and I heard Paul on there having a chat to the announcer. Now, he convinced me enough because I'm sick of being an asthmatic. I'm going to be an asthmatic all my life, but I'm trying to reduce it. I want a normal life, just like everybody else. I want to run around with my mates, I want to kick the footy, I want to swim, I want to do all these things. What I actually did was I rang the radio station, had a quick chat to Paul. Now, within an hour, I had gone from listening to Paul on the radio to being at one of his seminars and listening. Now, the first night is free. They don't charge you. They tell you all about the Buteyko method. So it's up to you. They don't try and sell you this idea, they just tell you what's going to happen in your life. Now, the reason that I'm standing here talking to you about this, I'm not getting any money for this. I think this is just a wonderful method. I'm an asthmatic, still am an asthmatic, but my whole life has absolutely changed through the Buteyko method of breathing. I used to have sleepless nights, I used to snore, I used to be rolling, tossing and turning. I'd wake up and I'd drag myself through the day. Then I went and seen Paul and I tried the Buteyko method. It was, for the amount of money, it seems a lot at the time, but it changes the rest of your life. After doing the method, I now wake up after a restful night's sleep. I can get through the rest of the day without dragging myself through the day like I used to before I used the Buteyko method. Take my word for it. This is a life-changing technique. If you do anything, if you're an asthma sufferer like me, the Buteyko method is actually reduced by 95%, I would suggest, my intake of asthmatic medications. Not only does that make me feel a lot better simply because I'm putting something in my body I don't want to, but I need to so I can breathe, but the great thing is it saves me a fortune on asthmatic medications. The other thing is, okay, I still use the preventer twice daily, but the reliever I use maybe once a fortnight. You can't throw your asthma medications away, but by geez, you can reduce their usage, and that's not only saves you money, but it makes you feel a whole lot better inside. Well, I can't recommend the Buteyko method highly enough. As I said, it seems like a lot of money at the time, but it will change your life forever. Thank you.
My name's Raymond Hodkinson. My story is basically that I was diagnosed with sleep apnea, and I was told I had 3 options, and one of them, or the best option that I had, was to be hooked up to a machine to sleep every night. And I believed, or I thought there was a better way, and I saw this ad in the paper for the Buteyko method, and decided that that's the way I wanted to go, and that's what I wanted to do, because I couldn't sleep with this machine. I've had this machine for 3 months, and I go through the process of hooking up to it each night, and then halfway through the night I still wake up and I take it off because it becomes uncomfortable because of things like condensation in the mask that I have to wear. And so I believed that there was a better way, and just by chance I saw the ad in the paper and decided to come and do the course. I was not sleeping well at all. I was probably averaging an hour or 2 each night. I went and had sleep studies done and was diagnosed with the fact that every minute and 15 seconds that I stopped breathing, and that was waking me up and disturbing my sleep. Whether consciously or subconsciously, I was waking up and not getting a full night's sleep. And as far as sleep apnea goes, I really don't know a great deal about it, other than that's what they've diagnosed it as. To me, it's something new, but yet it's been around for such a long time. I was drained, yeah. My work is usually a 10-hour day, and by not getting sleep at night, I was just totally drained. I was constantly sick, constantly going to the doctor for some sort of relief in some way or another. I know now the difference between breathing through the nose and the mouth. I hadn't noticed it or hadn't picked up on it, but I do know that I was short of breath and constantly gasping for breath through the mouth. I have two sons. I have a son that's 22 and I have a 7-year-old. And the 7-year-old now is getting into soccer and little athletics and stuff, and actually running around and kicking the ball with him has shown me the difference of, sort of what I can do and what I can't do. And I was really, really drained and lasting about 5 minutes and then having to come inside and sit down and relax. The simplest thing that I've found is learning how to breathe through my nose again. My son does it all the time, and since I've been doing this course, I've been watching my son, and that's all he does. It's virtually going back to being a kid again and breathing through your nose and using what's natural.
Is it so simple?
Yes, it is. Yeah. If I can do it, anyone can do it. I don't have any great powers of concentration or anything like that, but since I've been doing this, it just blows me away. I've slept for the last 3 nights of an average of about 8 hours each night.
And what was it before?
About 2. At the moment I put a bit of tape over my lips just to keep my mouth closed and sleep on my left-hand side. And that's the only difference. It's amazing. It's basically simple, isn't it?
It is. And what is your wife?
Well, I've been sleeping in separate beds because of the snoring prior and the lack of sleep prior, the bad nights, the restless nights, and because of the machine, because even though I've got what they call the top range of the machine, which is $2,000 worth of machine, but it's still quite noisy. You can still hear it, either the machine buzzing or the actual rush of the air coming through the mask.
Your wife would absolutely see a difference, I would imagine.
She's pretty amazed. She just can't believe it, yeah. I'm not going backwards now, so I'll be here next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I'd love to talk to you in a few more weeks, when we come back. I don't know whether you're coming back here, but I would like to just talk to you and just see how you've progressed. What is sleep apnea?
What is it?
Yeah.
I've really got no idea. I think it's a new buzzword for something the doctors can't diagnose for you. They tell me it's when you stop breathing while you're asleep, and that's their best definition at this stage.
Yeah.
Snoring, the relaxation of your tongue slipping back and blocking your throat so you're not getting air at night time, and the snoring wakes you up. So you're getting a disturbed sleep, which has all sorts of untold effects on your body, eventually starving your body or your brain of oxygen.
Were you diagnosed with it by a doctor?
Yes, I had to go and do a sleep study, wired up around the chest, all wires on my head, down around my chest, around the stomach area. The results of that were that every minute and 15 seconds I was supposedly stopping my breathing while I was sleeping. From then I went back to the specialist and he said I needed this machine, or I can have an operation, which is the scraping of the back of the tongue and the muscles in the back of the throat, or there's another gadget and I can't remember what he called it, but out of the 3 alternatives, the sleep app machine was the best. It was the most successful. There was a 35% success rate, I think, in the actual scraping of the throat, and with this other gadget that they sort of wedge into your mouth. And the good quality one is fully automatic. It adjusts while you sleep. I trialled that one first, and then I trialled a fixed pressure one. The fixed pressure one is just constant all night, this same pressure. If this sleep apnea does what it's supposed to do, then you need the different pressures. So I thought, well, I've got to stay with this fully automatic one, and that's why I went with the most expensive. I don't know how people can sleep with the cheaper fixed pressure ones, because to me they're noisy as buggery, number one, and number two, it's just forcing air into you whether you need it or not. It comes on as soon as you put the mask on, and as soon as you take it off, then it stops. But that's only on the automatic one. The others you have to turn on and off. All it monitors is the actual pressure pumping in. I didn't like the mask part of it more so. The lady that sold me the machine, she said there's no such thing as a perfect seal because of the different structures of our face and stuff like that. And the best thing was an actual just nose mask. The thing about it was every couple of hours I'd wake up with condensation in the mask, and it was just running down inside the mask along my face, and it was just waking me up. So I had to find another alternative because I just wasn't happy with it. And that's when I did the Buteyko course. That's why I decided I'd go and try that. And since then, I average about 6 to 7 hours sleep every night and don't have a drama.
And your well-being, how's that?
My well-being is great. I don't know whether it shows from when you first filmed me to now, but I'm awake. I'm alive when I should be, which is daytime, and I sleep at night time.
And before that?
Before that, I was tired all day. I could go home halfway through the day and just sort of sit in the chair and fall asleep. It wasn't a problem. If I sat in the car too long, I could, at the traffic lights, I felt like I wanted to go to sleep. I've averaged, I know I'm supposed to do more, but I average one exercise session per day, make sure I have it, and that's first thing in the morning when I get up. The rest of the time I make a conscious effort to make sure I breathe through my nose. Other than that, there's nothing hard about it whatsoever. Like I said, up until this, I'd never heard of Buteyko, I'd never heard of sleep apnea. But what we're doing, going back to breathing through our nose and into our diaphragm, is just how the kids breathe anyway. All we're doing is going back to what we should have been doing in the first place.
I saw the Buteyko on Channel 9, and I suffer from asthma myself and sleep apnea. So it was a logical choice for me to actually find a bit more about it. I did that, and we heard about Buteyko on last Sunday, and so came along to have a look. We were very impressed, and even though we had a holiday scheduled this week, we still took the drive from Tanunda here every day. So yes, that's how I've come to be here. But yeah, I feel very good. My sleeping has been very much improved. In particular, no sleep apnea in the last 4 days, and feeling a bit more refreshed in the morning. And yeah, more refreshed and more rested, which I was really impressed about. Well, I was using the Ventolin inhaler primarily, around about 8 puffs a day, and also the preventer as well. At the moment, I am down to perhaps 1 or 2 puffs a day, and sometimes, and yesterday in particular, and today, there's been none. So that's been a really good result for me. And in particular, when I do find the symptoms coming on, the Buteyko method has actually been able to solve those symptoms, and that's been really amazing. I've been trying to get off them for a while and never been able to, but this works, so I'm happy as a mud lark.
Do you do the exercise? Do you get up in the morning and do them, or how do you sort of do that?
First thing in the morning, before breakfast, and typically before lunch if I can manage it, and before tea, and then just before night, just before I sleep. Even when I'm just lying down, when I am asleep and I wake up with it, if I just, even when I'm lying down on my side, just do the reduced breathing, that also helps immeasurably as well.
That's good.
So yeah.
Oh.
I can't say that my control pulses are growing very much, but I did sleep one night. I slept without my CPAP machine for 3 hours and had no effects, and then the next couple of nights after that I slept all night without my CPAP machine, and my husband remarked that I'd had a good sleep and that there was very little apnea, just slight snoring. very slight snoring. But this is early days, and it's sort of something that I'm sort of trying to work on. I think there's a lot in the theories, and I think there's a lot of evidence of improvement, and I do feel that even that one night, occasionally I have slept without the machine. At other times, if I've got a cold or for convenience sake sometimes, it's not easy to just cart these machines around. But it's the best sleep I have had without the machine for many, many years. The other interesting thing is that I have actually got the start of a head cold, which normally would make my sleeping pattern worse. But because of I believe because of the breathing, that maybe is definitely helping. But normally, if I was sleeping without the machine, I'd be very much lethargic and not much good the next day. I'm concentrating on breathing through my nose. Yesterday I had my grandchildren with me, and I caught myself breathing through my mouth a bit. So I would say yes, it is probably something that I'm learning to control. But just when I was busy, I just sort of forgot. The other thing too is I find if I'm sitting down knitting or anything like that, that I'll find myself breathing through my mouth a little bit. I caught myself out on that yesterday. Yeah. So that's something I need to work on. And maybe take my mouth when nobody's around, so I can't talk. That suits my husband probably.
Well, I guess I could tell you my history, I guess. I had a car accident in 1995 and as a result had sleep apnea. I found out I had sleep apnea and since had an operation on that in 96, around about. Ever since then I've had consistent chest infections. Working in a factory environment where I've got dust and smog and whatnot, that's consistently gone in the back of my throat through mouth breathing. Since starting this Buteyko course, that smog and muck that's gone down the back of my throat has disappeared. I haven't had to throw it up, and yeah, my breathing is much better, and I'm finding my sleep is much better if I can keep my mouth shut. Yeah, just general alertness and attentiveness is much better. Yeah, I'm coping a lot better with less sleep as well. So.
Okay, if you could just tell me your full name.
Glendon Gale.
And how do you spell it?
G-L-Y-N-D-O-N.
And G-A-L-E, is it?
That's right, G-A-L-E.
Okay.
I have, well, since the course started, only just last week, after I tried the tape, first couple of nights I ripped it off, second time, or third night. I had the tape on, well, the last night was, the tape was on all night, and consistently better, felt better, didn't want to take the tape off. And yeah, generally through the day, been feeling much better. One particular night I had blocked-nosed and I ripped the tape off and decided I was going to breathe through my mouth, doesn't matter what it was. And yeah, just felt crap. It was just no good whatsoever. Felt tired and lethargic. Generally no good. So, okay, I guess over a period of time, you sort of, it's easy to breathe through your mouth. It's just natural to breathe through your mouth. You don't consciously think of breathing through your nose, but when you start doing it on a regular basis and thinking about it every minute of the day, and even when you, let's say, forget it for 10 minutes, you realise, hey, I'm not breathing through my nose, I've got to breathe through my nose. I wake up and breathe through my nose, so yeah, it's much better.
I did the Buteyko course about a year ago, and since then I'm off my reliever medication, which I'd been on forever, and it's made such a difference to my life. I tape my mouth up and find I sleep better. But I need to do more exercise. But generally, it's just made such a difference, and my partner can't believe how much better I am. I haven't had to go on prednisolone for a year. Normally, that's a regular occurrence, over winter especially. So I really think it's great. A friend of mine who lives in Melbourne, she'd met somebody who she knew had always had asthma, and the woman, then she met her again, and she said her asthma was gone, and she couldn't believe it was the same person, and she said she'd done the Buteyko method, so she phoned me up and said, do this, and I'd been meaning to do it, and then I saw the advertisement in the paper that it was going to be on, so I joined the group. I've had asthma since I was really young. I don't really remember much of my life without asthma, so I was willing to try it. And because I really trusted this friend, and she had first-hand experience of someone who'd benefited from that, I wanted to give it a go. I just want to improve still, and I found just coming back, it's just reminded me of things that I've forgotten. Also, I got the book so I can read it and just inspire me to keep working and getting better, so I'm really free of asthma. But it's just good not to think, oh Lord, I haven't got my Ventolin, what am I going to do, you know, that panicky feeling, because I know I can control it now.
1999, I was a chronic asthmatic with many hospitalisations, and Quantum, the ABC, on a Thursday night had advertised a program discussing this new method, and I watched the program and I recorded it, and I've referred to it many times, and subsequently I tried to find out further information, but at the time there was nothing available in Adelaide. I actually went to the Asthma Foundation. I tried, and I have a lot of medical contacts, to find out a little more, but nobody was very interested or supported it. I then found a number in a health magazine, and I bought a tape. I sent to Queensland for a tape, but unfortunately I wasn't able to do it with a tape. And it wasn't until, it was only last Thursday that I happened to see this in the Adelaide advertiser, and I rang, and that's how I came to do this course. I have sleep apnea, and that's really not good news. And I have found this week that I've been really struggling with the sleep apnea and the treatment with this CPAP machine and a few things. And I've really found, by learning to keep my mouth closed and doing the exercise, I've found quite a marked improvement just in the short time I've been doing it. But also, so I don't know if I'll tell you, I won't put this on the TV, but one of my big problems with sleep apnea is it takes a long time to fall asleep, and then half an hour later you need to go to the toilet, and of course by not having as much, by not mouth breathing, this stops that. The smooth muscles are as affected, you've got more carbon dioxide, so that last night was the first night, I don't know how many years, that I haven't had to get up 3 or 4 times during the night, so it is actually doing something for me. I was sceptical, but I mean, I'm willing to try anything, and I've found it excellent. Very, very good, very helpful so far. I think this is what I think with the sleep apnea. The CPAP machine which I've been given, and it's a fantastic machine, it's the state of the art, but because I breathe with my mouth open, the mask I wear covers my face completely, but of course my mouth is open. I have a pressure of 12, which is a really, really high pressure, but it blasts the air in, and it does keep my airway open, but of course I think I'm losing all the carbon dioxide that I'm meant to be keeping, because I'm totally mouth breathing, I'm dry as dry, and I wake up in the morning feeling 10,000 times worse than, you know, I really feel very ill, not well. So I don't think it's the answer for me. I think if you can keep your mouth closed, which seems to be the thing that's helping me, that I've learned, that's helping. It's only been a very short time, but I can honestly say for today, for the first time, I felt as though I really wanted to get up. It's been really quite a struggle. I have a problem with my REM sleep. I've had 3 testings for the sleep apnea. That means you go to hospital and they do your wired up with computers. I've had it done 3 times, and they've told me each time that my apnea is of a duration of 69 seconds have been the longest ones, and I might have those, have those repeatedly all night, but my REM sleep only kicks in at about 5 o'clock in the morning, and that's when it's time to get up. So that even though you're in bed all night, you don't actually sleep soundly. And it's the lack of REM sleep that's made me feel so very horrible. But I'm hoping that this will help, and I think it has started to help already. You can't expect miracles, but I feel so much better, so much more alive, that it's, you know, it's worthwhile for me. And I look forward to, you know, many more improvements.
What do you do now when you go home, for example? What do you do?
Well, I'm not using my CPAP machine. The other thing that I've got a plate for the dentist, because I was really biting my, you know, really grinding my teeth, which is all part of sleep apnea, and I tape my mouth with tape, a micropore type tape, and so that I keep it on, and then so obviously I sleep on my side rather than my back, which I was sort of doing automatically because you lie back, and I just found that I'm sleeping better, you know, and hopefully that it will, as my measurement increases, my CP increases, that I will get better and better. First thing in the morning, as soon as you wake, then I do them about again at 11 o'clock before lunch, about 3 o'clock after lunch, and then before I go to bed at night. But from today on, we're meant to do them 6 times, so but I do them all the time. The funny part is, now that I've learned, when I'm driving, I drive a long distance, I drive from Adelaide to Gawler to work every day. So while I'm in the car, I do it. And also, it's being conscious of keeping your mouth closed has made such a difference. I even try to breathe through my nose as I'm talking to you. It's trying to remember. It's just learning new techniques, which I think are very valuable and very valid.
And did you ever have problems breathing through your nose? Did you?
Well, I think I had a huge period of hospitalisation last year in March. I was in hospital for 6 weeks, and I think I learned to breathe through my mouth more because I was on oxygen, and you tend to, with all the tubes, I think you do tend to open your mouth more. I think I developed the habit of opening my mouth more, which is not beneficial. And I think becoming conscious, raising awareness of anything makes you do it more. So now, you know, mouth breathing is hopefully a thing of the past with me. But also, I noticed I would walk every morning. I was on the CPAP machine. My neighbour and I would get up at 5 to walk when I wanted to sleep. And of course, we would go fast, and I would breathe through my mouth the whole time. And no wonder I felt wretched. You know, it wasn't conducive to the principles of the Buteyko method.
When you were diagnosed with having sleep apnea, is that correct?
That's right. At the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Adelaide. That was 4 years ago, March 2000. I was actually going in for another sleep apnea test last night. I'd been booked in to have another one because around about March this year, I kept waking up like I was punch drunk and just didn't know how I'd get through the day. So I decided to go in for another test to see if they had any other hope to give me. And it had taken 6 months before I could actually get in for the test. And of course, I was told in year 2000, that I should be on the CPAP machine. I was classified as severe, but I wouldn't go on the CPAP machine. I didn't like it, I couldn't manage it. Anyway, I was going to try again, and so in March I hired a machine, tried it for a week, but I wouldn't use it. And so it's just been continually downhill. I guess this is just a wonderful hope, because I was told there is no cure. CPAP machine is the best we have. It works 100%, and this is what you will have to have for the rest of your life.
So what happened in this last week for you?
Oh, it's been wonderful. I have slept three nights straight I've taped up my mouth. It's just been wonderful. I've woken up as though I've had a sleep, not waking up and getting out of bed and like feeling so groggy. It was awful. And walking into work, yawning away, just wondering how you're going to get through the day. But this has been a wonderful, wonderful change. I haven't stopped talking about it. encouraging others who I know have sleep apnea or breathing disorders, but you know, hopefully it will come, that they will, especially in the family. So,
do you have children?
I do, and my son, he's 33, well, he and his child, I can see they both have breathing disorders, as followed after mum apparently. Talking to my daughter today, no, she breathes with her mouth closed, and it's very interesting. You just don't know these things, to breathe through one's nose, you know. Never done that before, but now it's a new experience, getting the diaphragm working and taking deep. Here I am now breathing through my mouth, but we'll get there. It'll be a journey, and I intend to work at it. I came to the course knowing that I definitely was only attending the introductory evening, but it was just 10 minutes into the introductory course or night that I said to my girlfriend, who had made me aware of the course, I'm definitely doing this. And she said, well, she wasn't at that moment, but a half hour in, she definitely was going to do it. The Buteyko course offered me hope that I didn't have. In fact, I had come to a place where I was saying a few prayers because I didn't know which way to go, and just waking up feeling so dreadful. This was the thing that was going to change my life, and these last few days I think I can remember what it was like to feel that you could get up and feel refreshed. I haven't woken up and got out of bed feeling refreshed for so long. It's like stumbling out of bed and thinking what's been going on all the night. It's just to wake up with a clear head and feel so good. It's just so wonderful. Down, cross, did all the things that I was advised in the course. Elevated the bed, slept on the left side. I did have a little problem with my left shoulder at one time, or the right, but never onto my back. But I've followed it stringently, and it's paid off, which I am so thankful for. I was saying to some friends, it seems like you live your life, and then once you arrive at 50, you're trying to rectify all the things that you have done in the past to maintain a good life, pain-free, and we've never known that breathing through the nose was the way that we should be breathing, rather than, I've never breathed through my nose. I can't ever remember that. Always through the mouth. And I spoke to a gentleman, a colleague, and he said, he can't remember. He suffers from sleep apnea and breathing disorders, and he says, I said 95% of the time I breathe through my mouth. He said, well, I probably, 99% of the time. But we don't know. We've never been told that this is the way we should be breathing, and it's just wonderful to know this simple truth. It's been wonderful, the exercises and breathing from the diaphragm. I mean, you're consciously aware of it through the day, continually thinking about it and trying to change. And yes, by doing it continually, it's making a change, and I'm thankful for it.
I was diagnosed with sleep apnea, moderate sleep apnea, and doctors recommended that I had one of these sleep machines.
What is sleep apnea?
It's a sleeping disorder, basically. Your body just keeps waking up all night. I was diagnosed that my body wakes up approximately 29 times an hour, so you just don't get proper sleep, and so of course the next day you wake up exhausted, can't breathe, just can't function, and I found I was just falling asleep at work every day and just couldn't function really. Yeah, I've been learning the breathing methods. Also at night they said the most important thing is to breathe through your nose, and so I've sort of been taping my mouth up at night, and I've found that I've actually managed to get through a few nights sleep without actually waking up. I've actually been able to keep my mouth closed while I sleep, and just had so much more energy all week, so it's been fantastic. So I was quite sceptical actually. So yeah, I guess with any sort of thing, like I've been to the doctors and of course they've given me these options, and I tried some of the options that they'd given me and it just hadn't worked, so I guess I was sceptical, and have found that it actually does work, so definitely seen an improvement. I came to the introductory seminar and took the knowledge that I'd learnt in that first seminar, and I had results the next day, so it was pretty amazing, and it's just gotten better as the weeks have gone on. It's so logical. I was just baffled that something is so simple, and I'm just amazed that more people aren't doing it. I'm also a singer, so I've noticed that I went out singing last night and I was actually able to breathe and just perform a lot better as well.
I've suffered from hay fever for the last couple of years, and I had an attack of asthma walking around the streets when jasmine was out in flower. They gave me a puffer then. I decided that if this is the start of things to come, I needed to do something about it. And the course was advertised, so I decided, right, I'm going to go down and for the first day see what went on. And I did the whole course, the full week, and benefited extremely well from learning how to breathe. I only took my puffer a couple of times last year, and it's always around this time of the year that I suffer. So far this year, touch wood, I haven't used any medication whatsoever. If I come across what I think could be a problem, I start doing the exercises and breathing how I was taught to do. I benefit extremely well. To start with, I used tape on my mouth when I did the cleaning, which sounds awfully strange. But I did that, and that really helped. Dust got down me one time, and I sat and did a whole set of exercises, and my breathing went back to normal. I do still sleep with the tape on my mouth because I consider I have a better night's sleep with the tape on my mouth, so I do that all the time. I discussed it with my husband, and we decided that if it wasn't really hyped up, I would go on the course, but I was very impressed with Paul and the people that were on that course, so I decided it was well worth spending that bit of money in the hope that in the future years I would not have to keep on with medication.
Have you been a mouth breather?
I have, and that's probably the biggest problem. So that's why I consider using the tape still after a year ago, which is when I went on the course. I sleep much better with that tape on.
Do you do the exercises regularly?
I did them really consistency for the first 2 months, at least 3 times a day. Even when I travelled over to Canberra, I was doing them in the car. I did stop because I felt I was quite okay, but for the last couple of months I've had to restart them to get that breath up, or the whole breath, so that I can get over the hay fever part and the grass seeds, because that's what brought on the asthma. I'm affected by smoke, but I can control that. If I do this, the breathing, how I was taught, I can actually stop by being infected by smoking as well. I walk a lot. I've learnt to keep my mouth shut all the time while walking. That was a bit strenuous to start with, but I cope with that well now. If you've got a problem with asthma, hay fever or any allergies, I would strongly advise you to try this course, because it was worth every penny that I spent on it.
I found it on the radio. I mean, it was just, it was ABC. same station I was listening to tonight, and I think Paul was on talking to the announcer, and we happened to get into the car 5 minutes ago and said something about asthma, and I pricked my ears up, as you do, and he said, "Oh, free seminar in town tonight, blah blah blah." I said, "All right, this is on," and then he started reeling off some of the statistics, and that blew me away. I mean, that was incredible. To hear what could be done, and I thought, well, this is, I mean, if it's free, there's nothing to lose. And if there's any truth to some of these statistics, well, then it's worth doing. So I changed my plans pretty promptly. I was dropping Jackie off at somewhere, and said, right after I'll pick you up, we're going to this, and she said no problems. So she accompanied me, and well, that was it. And this is a lesson for you kids: don't ever smoke. I think it brought on my asthma at, I'm guessing, about 20. I'd been smoking since probably 15, and yeah, not seriously heavy, but enough to obviously bring it on, and found it was just getting worse and worse, and I'd stop and start. But yeah, I was on, when I went into the course, I was probably on at least 10 to 12 squirts of my reliever each day, and the doctor, after a couple of years, put me onto my preventer, and well, yeah, it was just too much. It wasn't good, wasn't healthy. So and when they said something like, I don't know, 90% of, well, most patients, yeah, most patients associate a 90% reduction following they're done with the course. That sold me. There was no doubt in my mind that I had to come back. And look, we were living down here, so you're looking at a 45-minute commute each way for 5 nights of the week. And no, it wasn't an issue. It wasn't an issue. And it was great because they suggested that you bring your partner. And that was good because asthma is very much I think probably a lifestyle managed thing. And to have your partner there and understanding it, it was just, yeah, it was good, and it was necessary, I think, because they had a far greater empathy of what you were going through, particularly with, I mean, I still do the breathing exercises. I did it this morning. I'm nose breathing now, but I don't do it all the time. But I find that I do, the mornings that I miss my breathing, I wish I had time to do it. Sometimes I don't get to do it. But I only do it once a day now. It took me 24 hours to get used to it, and I came home and I can remember reading to Jackie and practicing it, because that's how you really learn how to read aloud and make sure you breathe through your nose, and that really sinks it in how much of a difference it is. And my working day is essentially spent, talking to people. And I found that it was really quite interesting because you've got to adjust your speech patterns around nose breathing. And looking back on it now, I can see Paul did that exceptionally well, and so did you. But in a cellar environment, when I'm talking with people, it's a perfect spot to do it in, and you can really practice it well. As I said, I don't do it now. I'm doing it right now because I think we're on the subject.
Over this last 12 months that you've...
Oh, has it?
Sorry, go for it.
How's my medication changed?
Yeah.
I would suggest that, well, I don't need my preventer anymore, and I use my reliever perhaps, depending on what I'm doing, but I use my reliever perhaps once every 3 days, and that's perhaps, well, if I haven't got time to sit down and do 5 minutes worth of breathing, if I find myself in an awkward position. But I do it yeah, it's dropped it right back, which is great because it costs a lot to buy these things, and I've always got 2 or 3 scattered around, and I find that if I do heaps of exercise, that'll help keep it down anyway, and it's just made a huge difference.
What has your doctor thought about this?
He had heard of it but didn't know a lot about it, and he was stoked. He said that, oh look, he'd never had one of his patients do a course, but he had said that, I think he was going to try and look into it, but he said it didn't really matter. He said if it cut down your use of these drugs, and then cut down any use of any drugs is a good thing. But he said, look, just run with it, and it's something that I've done forever. And the doctor is a family friend, so he was really keen to, run with the absolute best thing possible. No, he was amazed. When it's explained to you by Paul, the fact you got to breathe in through your nose, and your nasal hairs filter the air and humidify the air, and that helps. And it also slows down it reduces your exhalations if you do it through your nose, therefore keeping more CO2 in your lungs, etc., etc. I can only suggest that it's just the very best thing, whether you're a mild asthmatic or semi-mild asthmatic like I was, or a variety of things. I think everyone should be sort of made to sit through the first lecture, because I'm sure everyone could benefit from it. Anyone who does physical activity, and that is 99% of the population, could quite simply just benefit from it. It makes sense, it's logical, it's something you can do on your own, and it can make such a huge difference to your life. We live right next to the beach. If I go for a walk of a morning, a 45-minute walk, I will endeavour to walk as briskly as I can, breathing through my nose all the time. If you duck dive a wave, or you come off the wave and you end up in the water, I'm not sure how I do it, but instinct doesn't let any water into your mouth or your nose. You keep your mouth shut and you either breathe through your nose or something. But as soon as you're back on your board and you're paddling to get back out through the surf, I find that if I concentrate on breathing through my nose when I get out the back and waiting for the next set, my recovery time is quicker. I always recall the story that Paul recounted with, I think it was about the Collingwood footballer Severio Rocca. He just taken a mark or kicked a goal or something, or just had the ball for quite a while, and the camera was focused off him after he delivered a goal or something, and he was clearly breathing deeply, and he was gasping for oxygen, and Paul stated that the commentators had said that they couldn't realise why he had this problem, because he was breathing as deeply as possible, and of course he was just standing bending over with his hands on his knees, taking great big lungfuls of air through his mouth, and that was the whole problem. If he'd been doing it through his nose, he wouldn't have had a drama. If it's summertime, I'll sit outside, and to me it's a form of meditation as well, and that's one of the other big kicks I get out of it. Sitting, breathing. Sometimes I'll have my eyes closed. I'll be concentrating. Sometimes I'll just be looking at the surroundings, and it's as I said before, I find it less than ideal if I don't start my day with it. But to me, it makes sense. I wish I discovered it earlier, because I could have done better at sports days at school, because I was quite a good runner back then. But I'll just sit there, and sometimes I'll just do 15 minutes of shallow breathing, and then when the time is up, I'm good, and I'm good for the day. I have recommended my father, belligerent as he is, he didn't take it up, but I've recommended 2 or 3 other people that I've heard that have had problems, And look, mate, spread the good word. I'm happy to do this because I know that it's often hard for something like this to get the publicity that not only it needs but it bloody well deserves, because it really is life changing.